You like that? You like that?
What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and I'm back for another breakdown. So today we are going to be talking New England Patriots again. The vast majority of the subscribers are New England Patriots fans. So I want to break some stuff down for them. But if you want to see some other teams, leave that in the comments, and I'll break something down for you too. Okay? But for this one, the storyline going into training camp for the New England Patriots has been that their offense does not have an offensive coordinator. Well, if you know anything about New England, there's been times where they haven't had an offensive coordinator. This isn't new. And it's because Belichick has been and always will be running the show as long as he's the head coach of the New England Patriots. But with that said, he's been more focused on the offensive side of the ball so far in training camp. And I thought that this rep right here was really interesting because Belichick knows more about defensive back play than probably anyone on the planet. So him coaching receivers, he's teaching them defensive backs, leverage points, their technique, where their eyes are supposed to be. And as a DB coach, I thought this rep was really interesting. So let's just jump right into it. So we got Tyquan Thornton here, second round pick out of Baylor. And on this rep, you'll notice here, he chops his feet down on this dig route, right? And if you see how he's breaking on this in-breaking route here, let me back it up. I'll slow it down for you. See how he chops his feet at the top of the route, comes to balance, and then turns? Well, Belichick goes over to the receivers. He starts talking to him, right? And I think this is what he's trying to tell them, okay? So let's fast forward a little bit. So old man River here, he steps up, has to show him how it's done. He steps inside with his inside foot, and look how his hips are turning here. Then he steps outside with his outside foot. Notice how his hips are turning here. And then he breaks inside, right? He doesn't come to balance. He doesn't stutter his feet like that. It's all a nice fluid motion. The other thing you can notice here is look at his head. His head goes in when he breaks in, goes out when he breaks out, okay? And the reason for that is you can see Troy Brown here, right? Where are his eyes? His eyes are down here on his hip. Well, defensive backs, that is how we play. That is how we coach guys, right? We tell them, keep your eyes on the hip. The hip is going to tell you where the receiver is going to go. If you're looking in his eyes, right? If you're looking in this receiver's eyes here and he breaks inside and his head turns this way, well, then you're going to want to turn this way. If he breaks out and his head goes that way, well, then you're going to open your hips. And I always coach my guys and I tell them, you want to think about yourself like you're a gunfighter, right? You want to keep your hips and shoulders square to the line of scrimmage for as long as possible. You don't want to draw that gun too fast, right? Because if you turn your hips too early, now you're out of position, right? If I keep my hips and shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, then I'm in a triple threat position like in basketball, right? I can break downhill, I can open my hips up and turn, I can turn inside, I can turn outside. If you open your hips, well, now you're not going to be as efficient with your feet. There's more movement that's going to need to happen. So if we go back to Tyquan Thornton here, right, and we see him do this rep, you can watch, right? We talked about the stuttering, the feet, but look at the head. The head doesn't go anywhere. The hips, the shoulders, none of that turns. It all stays nice and square. That's easy for a DB to read. Now your hips open. I'm breaking on that football, right? So that is what I think Belichick was trying to teach him on that rep. So as training camp continues, who knows? Maybe Belichick might, focus a little bit more on the defense, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be working with these offensive guys, teaching them all the techniques that happen on defense and trying to get those guys thinking about it from a cerebral perspective, get inside the minds of defensive players so then they can take advantage of their techniques and make more plays. So that's it for this breakdown. And in future breakdowns, there will probably be some more Patriots plays, but regardless of what ends up happening, if I think a play is interesting, I'm going to break that down on here for all of you guys. So, as always, You know what it is. It's Coach Williams, Ball Hawks. We fly. I'm out. Peace.
I've made amends. Called all my friends and said I made you better, that we changed more than the weather, but all good things end. And I'll play pretend and say you're mine forever, when we both know we would never win.